Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. This is panel fabric that you're looking at. It's got pre-printed large designs on it. Now this particular panel fabric, you can use it for a variety of projects. You can use them to turn them into placemats or pillows, and you can even put them into quilts. I'm going to show you how to take this panel fabric and turn it into these beautiful Christmas pillows. They are slip covers, so you can use your old pillows from your sofa and make them to fit and then remove them later, or of course you can go and buy a pillow form. I'll show you how to measure everything, how to add on this little border flap on all four sides, and I'll give you some suggested decorative stitch patterns. So let's get started. Before I show you how to do this project, I want to recommend some fabric websites to you. Fabric.com and equilter.com. These two websites carry a lot of panel fabric at fairly reasonable prices. You can also check out Missouri Star Quilt Company. They have a large selection of fabric to look at. And then also check your local quilt shops. Call them up, ask them, do you have panel fabrics, especially if you're looking for the pillow. Say, do you have pillow panel fabrics? Here is a sample of one. Now I've had these pillow panel fabrics for quite a few years. I've got stacks of them because I just love them. So this is one I bought a long time ago. Typically when you buy 1 yard of panel fabric that has the pillow fronts on it, you're going to get four pillow squares on it. 2 of each of the designs. So this is one design, and you would get 2 of these per yard, and then you would get this. This is the other one you would get. So you would get 2 of these. So if you wanted just a half a yard, you would get 1 of each. Now let me show you the one I'm working with. I'm going to give you a few suggestions on what to do with these. You could cut each one of them out, especially if you buy just the half a yard, and you could stitch both designs together and make one pillow, and the back and the front would have this design on it. Stitch up 4 sides, leave a small opening on one side, put your polyfill stuffing in it, then close up that one side with either a ladder stitch or a slip stitch. That is one way to do it. So you'd wind up with 1 pillow per half yard. Or you could take each one of these, get some complementary fabric for the back, stitch it up the same way, and you would wind up with 2 pillows. That's one way. Or you can do it the way I'm going to demonstrate, which is to make it a slip cover, add a special border on it, and do some really nice decorative stitching. I'm using this old pillow form. I took off the other slip cover that I had on it, and I'm going to reuse it. So I'm going to measure from side seam to side seam, and it measures about 16 inches. So now I'm going to measure this. This measures about 14 and not quite 14 and a half on one side, and then almost 15 on the other side. So they're not all going to be perfectly square. So you have to do a little bit of math and cut it large enough, and also include your seam allowance. So after doing a little bit of math, because they're all going to be different, because I don't know what size of pillow you have. So whatever you do, make sure you add in an additional ½ inch for seam allowance. I'm going to put on 1.5 inches around all 4 sides to cover my pillow. So I put my 1.5 inch line on the red line here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut around all 4 sides. This is what it looks like when it's all cut out. Next step is to cut the fabric to add on around all 4 sides of the pillow. So for most pillows, you're going to need to just cut out 2 strips of fabric that are 2.5 inches wide. And what I mean by strips is have your selvage edges folded together. And from that, you're going to cut your 2.5 inch wide strips. So keep the fabric folded while you are cutting. Cut your strips in half and place them at opposite sides, and have fabric hanging out past the edges on each side. Then stitch 1/4 inch along here, and then of course do it at the other end. Press your seam on the back side, unfold, and press on top. So you're doing this with both of your strips. Both are pressed. Then line up your ruler on this edge here and trim your ends of your strip to be an exact fit. And then of course go to the other side and do the same thing. Take your other strip, cut it in half, and place it on the other 2 edges. Make sure that you have a little bit hanging out past each end. Then stitch them on 1/4 inch, press on the back side, unfold, and press on top. Now you're going to trim the edges straight. So place it on here and then cut your edges straight. I'm going to show you a technique for making a very flat design become a little more three-dimensional. And you use it by adding in some polyester batting. And if you have the extra loft, it's a little thicker, even better yet. So I want this part to raise and lift up on the pillow. Gives it a little more fluffy look, and like I said, this part here will just really pop out. So take your piece of polyester batting and pin it around whatever it is you want to suddenly pop out. You know, it could be anything. It could be a Christmas bell or a leaf or whatever it is you want it to pop out. So I've placed pins. And now I'm going to I can see through this batting, so I can see where the circle is. So I'm just going to cut a circle the size of what it is on this print. After cutting the circle, turn it over onto the back, and you're going to place it over the circle on the back, and just place a couple of pins. We're going to remove these in a second. So okay, now turn it over to the front and then place pins from the front side. Okay, and then after pinning it on the front side, place them all around. Then remove those pins on the back side. You want to take them out. So continue pinning. Lay cotton batting underneath, and you're going to cut out a piece of cotton batting that's bigger than your pillow front. So go out about 1 inch, and I just do a rough cut. This is all I do. Go around all 4 sides. Redo your pins and go through all of the layers, the cotton batting and the polyester batting. This is real important. Now you're going to do an outline stitch around the deer. You want to match your background fabric. So this background fabric is very dark green. So it's important that you match that background fabric. Then you're going to do an outline stitch, not on top of the deer or whatever it is you're tracing around. It could be a snowman, a flower, a leaf, a house, a tree. It could be anything. So you're just going to do this outline stitch all the way around. And when you're done, you're going to suddenly notice that this deer is lifted a little bit and is beginning to pop out from this design. Here's a close-up of the stitches. Now it looks like the thread is really light. It's the way the light is, my camera lights are hitting it right now, but it really does match the background fabric. So I want you to see all of the stitching that I did. It's not exact, but it's enough to where it makes this animal really stand out. After you're done stitching around any of the designs that you choose, go ahead and remove any pins that you have because they're not necessary right now. The next decorative stitching that I want to do is I want to stitch some straight lines on a diagonal going from corner to corner, but I don't want to stitch through the center. I want these diagonal lines to only show around there. So I'm going to take a ruler, place it corner to corner, and then you can either use that little square chalk, or if you have a chalk pencil, you would go ahead and draw it from the outer edge of the circle down to the corner, and then come up over here and do the same thing. So now you have these chalk lines. I don't know how well you can see them. I want them 1.5 inches apart. So now I'm going to put the 1.5 inch line on my ruler on the previous chalk line. So go ahead and line it up, and it would really help if I had my glasses on. Got it on there, got it on this one, and then go ahead and draw lines again. This way they'll all match up. You want to just keep going over until you've got all of your lines drawn. So go all the way over to this side and then go over and do this side. After you've drawn your lines, now you want to stitch right over the lines. It's up to you what color of thread you want to use. I'm just going to use red, the same as the background, but I could use green, and that stitching could even stand out more. So it's really up to you what color you want to use. I just finished stitching my lines going across. Now I'm going to draw lines going in the opposite direction, so I have sort of a lattice or crisscross design to it. So again, place that first one in the opposite corner and draw your line. That's how you get started. Then continue drawing your lines across just like you did previously. After you've done your cross stitching here in this pattern where it crisscrosses, to get rid of the chalk, you can take a cloth and just dampen it slightly, and then that'll help take off the chalk. When you're doing your decorative stitching, look at areas that you could use a satin stitch on. And a perfect area on this one is this ring that goes around this circle here that encloses all this area. Now it's a medium shade of green. I chose a light green and did a medium satin stitch. One other area that I did a satin stitch on is around the square, and I chose red. So this is what it looks like. And look how using this lighter green just makes this jump out at you. Before you put the fabric on the back of the pillow, make sure you trim your edges. Just line your ruler up along the side of your fabric that's for the top, and go ahead and trim the fabric off around all four sides. I'm now going to explain how to measure and cut your fabric for the back, because we're going to make this a slip cover. So you want to be able to easily take that pillow in and out of this slip cover. So measure the width of this. And now this is almost 21 inches. I'm just going to round up to 21 inches because it just makes it easier for the next step. Divide whatever the size of your square is by 2. Mine comes out to 10.5 inches. Then add 4 inches to whatever your measurement is. So mine comes out to 14.5. So then you're going to cut 2 that are 14.5 by 21 inches. This next step you want to do at your ironing board. Take the long edge on just one side of each piece, fold it over 1/4 inch and press. Fold it again 1/4 inch and then press. And then stitch close to the edge right along here. And again, you do it on both pieces. Have the front side facing up and take the fabric for the back and place it front side down. And the side where you stitched and folded it over, then you're going to place that in the middle there. Line up your edges on the 3 sides, and then take your other piece and make sure the part that has the seam is here in the middle. Line up the edges on this side. Then place pins around all 4 sides. Okay, so make sure you get it all covered. Then you're going to stitch 1/4 inch seam from the edge here, come in 1/4 inch, and stitch around all 4 sides. On all 4 corners, trim some of the excess fabric off. So either use scissors or a rotary cutter. Trim a little bit off on each side. Open it up and turn it front side out. Take something like a chopstick and go in and begin to poke at all 4 corners. Here's the opening on the back. Now turn it over to the front and press all of your edges flat. Then after you've pressed your edges, place straight pins over the seam here. Remember, this is the band that we added on. So place pins on all 4 sides over that seam and then stitch in the ditch. That's where the 2 pieces of fabric come together, and you're going to stitch right in there and go around all 4 sides. Turn it over to the back, take your pillow, mush it up a little bit, and begin pushing it in to the pillowcase. And then once you've got part of it in, then pull the other flap back and push the pillow in. And don't forget to reach inside and straighten out the pointed corners on the pillow. For more pillow project ideas, go to the very end of this video where you will see a green screen and then click on the links. Well, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, would you please click on the old thumbs up button. Also, don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't hit that old subscribe button yet, click on that red button down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Then click on the little bell and enter your email address. If you find you're not receiving those email notifications about my latest video, notifications is probably not turned on in your cell phone or your iPad or tablet. So go to settings and turn notifications to the on position. I'm Sherrill and this is Manny. So glad you came to my sewing room. See you next time and happy sewing!